Today, we are digging into a book that pretty much flips the table on the most common financial advice we've all been given. I'm talking about Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. What if that safe, secure path our parents laid out for us was actually the biggest trap of all?
I mean, come on, you've heard this a million times, right? It's the playbook. It's what loving parents tell their kids they should do to have a good life. It's supposed to be the responsible thing to do. But what if it's not?
And this is where the book just throws a huge wrench in the works. It asks this really radical question. What if that so-called safe path is actually crumbling right under our feet? What if sticking to the old rules is the single riskiest thing you could do with your money today?
So Kiyosaki's whole financial education came from two totally different guys. His poor dad was his actual father, super smart, PhD, high-ranking government official. His rich dad was his best friend's father, a guy who dropped out in the 8th grade but was a street-smart entrepreneur. One was highly educated, the other not so much. And let me tell you, their advice on money was worlds apart. Okay, this right here gets to the absolute heart of it. This isn't about budgeting, it's about your mindset. See, poor dad always said the love of money was evil, which, we hear that a lot. But rich dad's take, he said the lack of money is what's truly evil. It's what causes all the fear, the stress, the lost opportunities. And that one little switch in thinking, it changes absolutely everything. And here's the next big split. Are you trying to climb the corporate ladder, or are you trying to own the ladder itself? Poor dad's whole goal was job security. Find a great company and stay there. Rich dad's goal was to be the person who could buy that company. It's a massive shift from being a piece of the machine to owning the entire machine. So poor dad's philosophy was basically don't lose, avoid risk at all costs. But rich dad knew that you can't really avoid risk, so you better learn how to manage it. You have to learn how to walk that tightrope. Honestly, in today's world, thinking a safe job can't just disappear overnight, well, that might be the biggest gamble of them all. So you might be wondering, how did a 9-year-old kid even start learning this stuff? Well, it definitely wasn't in a classroom. It all started with a job offer that was basically designed to make him furious. 10 cents an hour. Can you just imagine? You're a kid, you spend your Saturday dusting dusty old cans for hours, and you walk away with 30 cents, not even enough to buy one comic book. It felt so unfair, so infuriating, and that feeling, that was the whole point. Rich Dad wanted him to feel angry and used. That's what Rich Dad told him when young Robert finally stormed in and demanded a raise. And this moment, this is the pivot. Rich Dad explained that the frustration, the feeling of being underpaid and stuck, that was the lesson. He was showing them what it feels like to let life push you around so they could finally learn how to push back in a smarter way. You see, that whole frustrating first job, it was just a tiny real-world simulation of a trap that millions of us fall into as adults. A trap that Rich Dad had a name for, the rat race. And here's the big insight about the rat race. It's not really about the numbers in your bank account. It's an emotional loop. Think of it like a prison with just 2 bars. The first bar is fear, the fear of not being able to pay your bills. And the second is desire, the craving for all the cool stuff you could buy if you just made a little more money. This is exactly why getting a raise feels amazing for like a month, and then the financial stress just creeps right back in. You make more money, so you get a bigger apartment, a fancier car, and suddenly you're right back where you started. The numbers get bigger, but that feeling of being stuck on a hamster wheel just doesn't go away. I mean, let's be real, this probably sounds pretty familiar to a lot of us. We work our butts off, we get that promotion, we upgrade our lifestyle, and somehow we feel just as stressed about money as before, maybe even more so. It's a classic trap. So if that's the trap, how in the world do you get out? Well, this is the escape hatch. Rich Dad's entire philosophy really just boils down to this one single idea. Stop being the person who works for the paycheck. Your goal should be to own the thing that generates the paychecks. Okay, so to really hammer this lesson home, Rich Dad made them an offer that sounds completely insane. He said, you can keep working for me, but I'm not going to pay you anything. 0. He took away the paycheck on purpose to force their minds to stop looking for a wage and start looking for something else, an opportunity. And you know what's crazy? It worked. Without that measly 10-cent wage to focus on, their brains started to notice other things. They saw the store manager doing something kind of weird, ripping the covers off old comic books and just throwing the rest away. To her,
It was trash. But to them, it sparked an idea.
And here it is in action. They literally took someone else's garbage and turned it into an asset. This little comic book library started making them $9.50 a week, which for a 9-year-old is like being a millionaire. And the best part, they didn't even have to be there for it to make money. Their business was working for them. This was their very first taste of passive income.
You see, when you boil it all down, Rich Dad wasn't really teaching them how to start a business. He was teaching them a completely new way to see the world. He was teaching them to stop chasing the carrot on the stick and instead figure out how to plant their own carrot patch. And that's really the challenge that this whole book leaves you with. When your entire focus is locked on that next paycheck, on the safety of a job, it's like you're looking at the world through a tiny keyhole. But what happens if you can shift your mindset? If you start looking for problems you can solve, for value you can create, you might just start seeing all the incredible opportunities that are hiding in plain sight all around you.